Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the international webinar Cybercrimes, Nature, Challenges, and Measures, presented by the Graduate School of Universitas Juanda and School of Law, University Utara Malaysia. This conference is one of the initial collaboration implementation between Universitas Juanda and University Utara Malaysia. The Honorable Chancellor of Universitas Juanda, Associate Professor Dr. Haji Martin Rustami, SHMH, Timbalan Naib Chancellor performing the duties of Vice Chancellor of University Utara Malaysia, Professor Dr. Haim Hilman Abdullah, Rector of Universitas Juanda, Associate Professor Dr. Insinyur Dede Kardaya, MSI, the Director of Graduate School of Universitas Juanda, Associate Professor Dr. Hajah Rita Rahmawati, MSI, all respective speakers for today's webinar, Associate Professor Dr. Lubna Zahir from Punjab University, Associate Professor Dr. Yusra Miza, MD ISA from University Utara Malaysia, and Dr. Bambang Wijoyanto from Universitas Juanda. Last but not least, our moderator for today's webinar, Professor Dr. Nuarul Hilal, MD Dahlan, and all respective invited participants. Shall we begin this webinar? The Holy Quran recitation will be delivered by Ustad Saddam Hussein, SHMH Al-Hafiz. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu idza qila lakum tafassahu fil majalis idza qila lakum tafassahu fil majalis fafsahu yafsahillahu lakum wa idza qila anshuzu fanshuzu yarfa'illahu alladhina amanu minkum يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ناجيتم الرسول فقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقة ذلك خير لكم وأطهر فإن لم تجدوا فإن الله غفور رحيم. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Ladies and gentlemen, the prayer will be delivered by Al-Ustadz Dr. Kandidat Radif Hotami Rusli MED. The time is yours.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Allahumma shalli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa an kulli sahabati ajmain bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma ighfir lana dzunubana wa li walidayna warhamhuma kama rabbayana shighara. Allahumma a'inna ala dzikrika wa syukrika wa husni ibadatik. Allahumma irzuqna rizqan halalan thayyiban mubarakan wa ilman uluman katsiratan tanfa'una fid dini wa dunya wal akhirah. Allahumma ja'alna jam'an hadza jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Wassallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi washabbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Thank you for the beautiful recitation and prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, move to our main activity. There will be a welcome remarks by the Chancellor of Universitas Juanda, Associate Professor Dr. Martin Rustami, SHMH. The time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala habibina wa syafi'ina wa dhuhrina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa dzurriyyatihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah wa syukurillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. The Honorable yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Haim Ilman Abdullah, Acting Vice Chancellor of University Utara Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Insinyur Dede Kardaya, Rector University of Juanda, the Chairman of PSP Foundation, Bapak Dr. Bambang Wijayanto also is a speaker today. Bapak Profesor Dr. Hila Madalan, our close friend of UUM, Profesor Dr. Lubna Zahir as a speaker, also Associate Professor Dr. Yusra Miza MD Isa from University Utara Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Rita Ramawati, the Chief of School Postgraduate of University Juanda Bogor. It's very glad to me to attend this webinar, and I will open this webinar, and before I want to delivery for all of the participants welcome remark. This activity is the next step of the collaboration between University Juanda Bogor and UUM. Salam and good morning to all the participants. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for a long time now, as well as those who are new to the collaboration program between UUM and Unida Bogor within webinar session by the title Cybercrime, Nature's Challenge and Measure. The topic of cybercrime and bullying is a concern for both university and the two nations because we have relatively common culture, even same orientation toward to development of better life. It is hoped that the webinar can contribute to the prevention of cybercrime by encouraging the people and government of the two nations to better understand on the development of cyber and good legal culture that will build a dignified harmonization of cyber crime, cyber society. Yeah, we have data that until now in Indonesia, the penetration of internet and computer around 73.7% from 266 billion of Indonesian population. This data from 2019 and 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the data we call the penetration of internet user. There is growth from years to years, and this year there is a growth of the user around 8.9%. Around 25 million. It's very big, yeah, very big user. From the population of Indonesia right now, we have 196 million people who use internet. This very big number and potential business also, and of course, as a potential issue as long as our topic. Ladies and gentlemen, in the name of Allah, the Almighty, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, I open this webinar. Hopefully, all the participants get the blessing and berkah wal manfaah fiddin wa dunya wal akhirah. Terima kasih. Allahu yaqul haq bahwa yang disabil. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat siang.
Suaranya hilang, nggak ada suaranya.
Am I audible?
Okay, go on.
All right. Mana jadinya nih? All right. Okay, thank you. Sorry for interrupting the session. Thank you very much to the Chancellor of Universitas Juanda for such an inspiring remarks. Then that's the sign to move to our speaker session. But before we go there, please allow me to read the brief CV of our moderator who will lead the speaker session. Name, Nuarwal Hilal MD Dahlan, place and date of birth, Kuala Kangsar, Perak, Malaysia, 24th October 1970. And his current position is Professor of Law from School of Law, University Utara Malaysia. Life's goal to be knowledgeable, to contribute to the development of society. He has plenty of publications in international reputable journal, and one of his current publication is Palm Oil Land Digitation in Indonesia, Cases Involving Malaysian MNE, Saim Darbi Plantation Berhad, published in International Journal of Supply Chain Management. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator, Professor Nuarul Hilal MD Dahlan. The time is yours.
Suaranya.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator MC for chairing the session this morning. Honorable Associate Professor Dr. Martin Rustami, Speaker Associate Professor Dr. Lubna Zahir, Associate Professor Dr. Yusromiza Man Isa, Dr. Bambang Bijojanto SH, Honorable Associate Professor Dr. Rita Rahmawati, and ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I would thanks Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for having this opportunity and space for us to conduct this session for the purpose of sharing of knowledge as well as to strengthen academic relationship between institution in Malaysia, in Pakistan, and to explore various opportunities for the benefits of the institution involved. I would like to thank particularly to Associate Professor Dr. Martin Rustami for agreeing to proceed with the proposal of collaboration through this means, and thank you very much for the agreement and the approval. Today, topic is about cybercrime, nature, challenges, and misuse. I would like to share some of my point on cybercrime. So as we all know, today's world, we cannot escape from information communication technology and internet, ICT, particularly computers, laptop, desktop, handphone that use internet. Especially in today's world where we have COVID-19 pandemic, teaching and learning has to be done through internet. As well as if I were to purchase books, I just click Amazon.com and pay through internet. My Facebook, Twitter, everything using internet. So these are some of the benefits that that is the effect, being the effect and the benefit of internet and information technology. ICT, computer, handphones, ICT development, internet, Facebook, Twitter, website, all these are the offspring, the branches of ICT and internet technology. Nevertheless, for Malaysian case, this facility has also the negative side effect. In Malaysia alone, 70% of cybercrime, 70% of commercial crimes mean transaction. Transaction crimes is originated from cybercrime, 70%, meaning that out of 10, 7 are cybercrime based. So this is the bad effect, negative effect of ICT and internet. What's the meaning of cybercrime? Basically, it is a criminal act. It is a crime committed by the perpetrators, by the bad people, through computers, through handphone, using internet for the purpose of deceiving, for the purpose of stealing, for the purpose of causing losses, suffering, pecuniary and non-pecuniary to the victims. Cybercrime is criminal activity that either targets or uses a computer network, or a network device for the purpose of fraudulent, for the purpose of harassment, for the purpose of guilty intention, for the purpose of mala fide and negative intention. Illegally, it is done illegally with illegal intention. Example are email and internet fraud. We hear this every day. Identity fraud, where personal information is stolen and used. Crypto jacking, where hackers mine cryptocurrency using resources that do not know, they do not own. Cyber espionage, spying, where hackers access government or company data, sending abusive emails, social media, messages and texts, posting hurtful messages, images or video online, excluding or intimidating others through online, cheating, fake social media, any digital communication for the purpose of discriminatory activities, intimidating, intending hurt, losses, suffering, cheat, fraud, harassment, false information, and also including computer viruses that have been spread throughout the world. The purpose is to cause losses, to cause grievances, suffering, injustice to the society. Other example include African advanced fee fraud scam, void spoofing scam, SMS scam, etc. We can know nowadays. So if you not be careful, when we reply to the email, when we reply to the WhatsApp, then we can be trapped and can become victims of internet or cyber crimes activities. This include what are the consequences? Reputational damage, defamatory, suffered losses, 2.23 billion alone in Malaysia. Malaysian suffered 2.23 billion losses from cybercrime frauds, data leaking, theft, loss, unprotected data, and also it can also affect safety and security to the nation through wrong information, false information that can cite social unrest, racial imbalance, as well as terrorism. For example, in Malaysia, there are relevant laws with the purpose and with the objective to curb, to prevent, to reduce, to mitigate these wrongdoings. For example, we have several laws that intend to govern and to control these negative activities. For example, Computer Crime Act 1997, Communication and Multimedia Act 1998, Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Communication Act 1998, etc., including the Data Signature Act 1997. So today, we will hear and listen through this information sharing and knowledge sharing from experts in the world on the cyber crimes, nature, challenges, and mission. The speakers and panelists today are Dr. Bambang Wijojanto SH from Juanda University, Associate Professor Dr. Lubna Zahir from Punjab University, Pakistan, and Associate Professor Dr. Yusromiza Mat Isa from University Utara, Malaysia. Before I proceed with the next session, I would like to introduce some brief biodata about this speaker, the distinguished speaker. Dr. Bambang Wijojanto is from Jakarta, Indonesia. He have a doctorate in legal studies program from Faculty of Pajajaran University. Also a postgraduate qualification from SOAS, School of Oriental and African Studies, London. Some of his experiences include the chief lawyer of Prabowo Subianto on case President Election Dispute 2019 in the Constitutional Court, being also an advisor, expert advisor, Badan Arbitrate Nasional Indonesia. He was also Chief Commission on Prevention Corruption or KPK, Komiti Pencegahan Korupsi Ibu Kota Jakarta. So very, very long, outstanding and distinguished services and experiences he have. So I just select a few one only. Now we go to the second speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Lubna Zahir. Is a chairperson to Department of Film and Broadcasting, University of Punjab, Pakistan. She has been a media practitioner, consultant, and trainer for 15 years. The area of her expertise is on journalistic and academic interests, including political communication, women and minority rights, public participation and democracy, new media technologies, and health communication. So it is good opportunity for us to now in this session to hear and listen his experiences in sharing her experiences and knowledge on cybercrime. Finally, Dr. Yusromiza, Associate Professor Dr. Yusromiza, she have a doctorate degree in law, PhD in law from University of Lancaster, United Kingdom, without correction. And her specialist area is on criminal law and justice, drugs and policy. I'm waiting her knowledge and exploratory ideas as well as experiences we have on the topic today, cyber crimes, particularly in respect of Malaysian scenario. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Dr. Yusromiza, Dr. Yusromiza, to explain the nature, definition, some historical background, laws, law regulation, achievement regarding the topic today. Welcome, Associate Professor Dr. Yusra Meza. Thank you for your sharing of knowledge and experiences.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Noorahila. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good everyone. Maybe I would like to introduce about this topic. So the cybercrime existed before Microsoft Windows, the internet or the personal computer. The first officially recognized cybercrime happened in 1964 when a Massachusetts Institute of Technology student used a MIT computer to generate the tones required to access long-distance phone service. The cybercrime has become a significant international and national concern since then. The cybercrimes have also occurred in Malaysia, particularly after 1987, in which the internet was introduced in the country by the Malaysian Institute of Microelectronic System, which is named as MIMOS. All right. I would like to highlight some kinds of the scenario with regard to digital use in Malaysia. So we can say that digital use in Malaysia is very high. It was estimated in 2018 that out of 31.83 million of the total populations of Malaysian are consisting of these 25.08 million internet users, 21.62 million unique mobile users, 24 million active social media users, and 22 million were active mobile social users. If you can see here, I would like to share this cartoon. Maybe it's very familiar for certain people who have access to this one. So nowadays, many Malaysians and also the other people in other countries have become addicted to the social media. So the most important social media become the source for the addiction for many people is the Facebook. So we have also the second range, which is the Twitter and Instagram and others. And coming back to the scenario in Malaysia, so we have the cases of cybercrimes in Malaysia are also growing. The Royal Malaysian Police Department in Malaysia reported that there were averagely more than 10,000 cases every year, starting from 2016. For example, in 2019, there were 11 in 187,000 cases involving the cyber crimes, while in 2020, there were 14,229 cyber crimes cases. And with respect to the categories of cyber crimes in Malaysia, the statistical data demonstrate that the main categories of cyber crimes that occur are this one, the cyber harassment, including cyberbullying, cyber stalking. We have also the fraud and forgery. For example, phishing, fraud transaction, online scam, online love. So this one also to be considered as part of the fraud and forgery. And the other one is the malicious code. For example, we have malware, bots, and others. And denial of service, which is termed as DOS. For example, we have the at the same time, the intrusion, including account compromise. And the other one is the content related. For example, we have the issue of the pornography, fake news, or we have to be naming it as the disinformation. At the same time, we have discovered so lots of cases involving the intrusion attempt. For example, port scanning, and we have also the spam. And also the last but not the least is the vulnerabilities report. Okay, we'll proceed then. Now I highlight to you some of the important cases occurring in Malaysia with regard to the cybercrime. For example, in January 2015, there were attacks on the Malaysian Airlines websites by Lizard Squad. This is the official cyber cleavage by the Sony PlayStation and Xbox. So they were the important attacks occurring in Malaysia with regard to the airline system. At the same time, we can find in 2017, 3 government agency websites, and at the same time, 51 local small company websites have been invaded. And at the same time, in the same year, 77 credit card informations of the Malaysians have been revealed on the internet. And in February until the May of this 2018, we have seen the cases involving the phishing spear attack regarding the issue of page 3. That is my introduction with regard to the topic. I pass back to Professor Dr. Nurahila. Thank you.
Excuse me, Profila. You're not audible.
We will not hear the sounds of the voice of the Professor.
Okay, can you hear now?
Yes, clear, Prof.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to call upon Dr. Bambang to have to give some insight in respect of cyber crimes in Indonesia, particularly on the nature, definition, some historical aspect in Indonesia on cybercrime, as well as the laws applicable in Indonesia. Welcome.
Thank you very much. We try to explain some issue relating about the cybercrime in Indonesia. Let me put my, okay. Professor Hiral, my voice is, you hear?
Can hear.
Yeah, okay. This is one of the informations about the Indonesian's context, yeah. We agree from the presentation of the Chancellor and Professor Hiral that the condition of the daily life activities of the human. It sounds, yeah, it's really good. Okay, we agree that the previous statement from the presenter mentions that so many we attacked by the screen culture because the daily life of our activities now join with the cyberspace. The daily life and the business depend on the electronic data and computer networks in every single inch in the world. We agree about that. And then the second one, yes, we agree there is advantage from the issue of the cyberspace. Yeah, if you look in here, yeah, internet is very important tools and elements, yeah, in every single daily life of the people and human in the world. From internet, from the cyberspace, and then we have the connectivity, communication. We can create e-commerce. We can create what we call work collect. Work collect, that means work from home, collaboration, and access to the global workplace. Yeah, and then entertainment. Okay, we agree about that. But after that, yeah, we have problem. We have threat where the cyber crime and cyber attacks every single day to try to attack the human's life. This is one of the problems. And the threats have serious effects, not only in the national boundaries, but the international boundaries. Not only relating about the what we call the criminality, but this is relating with the issues in every single life of the people. Issue of security, issue of democratic process, issue of the what we call economic global, and then the other. So this is attacks every single activities of the human. Yeah. And then if you look comparisons, yeah, this is, we have one of the information in the world. There is top 20 countries where the countries have the problem with the cybercrime. Yeah, and then this is, there is what we call I have to information from the US. So the attacking from the cyber is very, very high. Very, very high. This is the sample from the America. Almost all the countries in the world have problem. Not only developed countries have the problem of about the cyber crimes. In the context of Indonesia, Indonesia tried to discuss about the issue of the cyber, yeah, since 2002, 2003, yeah. But the parliament released the promulgations of the Act Information and Transaction Law just 2008. So very long time to discuss this issue, yeah, in the parliament. Even the government, the people already feel the problem of the cyber, especially cyber crime and cyber attacks, since first of the 2000s. And then, you know, the concentration of the issue divided two issues. Firstly, relating about the e-commerce, and then the other one relating about the information technology crime. Yeah, and then that is why after the public discourse about the issue of the cyber crime, 2005, the government at that moment established the department or Minister of the Communication and Informations Department. And then, you know, we need at least 12 years next after, you know, the issue of the cyber crimes and cyber attacks to become one of the important issue. Indonesian governments developed what we call one institutions named State Cyber and Signal Agencies. Yeah. So this is the process of the historical. And then if you look better issue of the content or the main issues of the ITA, Information and Transaction Law, at least at that bill or at that act, we have two main issues. Firstly, about the issue of the what we call e-commerce issue, auto maintenance, and then the other one about the issue of the information technology crimes. Yeah? From the information technology crimes, we divided the two issues. Yeah, firstly, illegal content. This is like the SARA, hate speech, false, hoax information, online fraud, pornography cases, online gambling, and defamation. And the other ones, this is relating about the hacking, illegal intercept, such as e-writing and data interference. This is the kinds of the issue of the information technology crime. And then since 2008, electronic information or document have become a valid legal evidence. And then if you look better, there is two types of the attacking. There is cyber crime, cyber attack, and then now we have the other issue of the cyber warfare. Cyber warfare, this is related about the issue attacking in cyber warfare is the cyber system. Jadi, this is related about the activities of the government with the cyberspace attacked by the other, maybe the other country or the other governments. No, we have like that. The issue of the cyber crimes, we divided to become two. Firstly, this is the criminal, conventional criminal but use the networking information system. So in the conventional crimes developed from the real space, fraud, thief, pornography, defamations, this is to become the cyber crime. But the new crimes, this is like cyber espionage, cyber sabotage, extortion, cracking. This is the new wave of the cyber. So we divided two types of the cyber crimes. And then in Indonesian context, cybercrime is increasingly being carried out during the COVID-19. So it's very high now. There is at least 5 highest cases in that area, that moment. Provocative cases, hate content and hate speech, online fraud, and then very high cases of online fraud. And then the other one, pornographic content. So this is my finish in the first. If you look this information, Indonesia have 2074 million populations, but the number of people who have mobile connection more than the number of the populations. We have in Indonesia mobile connection 345 million equipment of the mobile phone. Then the number of the internet, the user, the people who use the internet, more than 200 million. You can compare. If you compare with the Malaysia, so in Indonesia, double 10 times more bigger than the Malaysia. This is the conditions. But if you look e-commerce activity, this is in the other information. The people who search online for a product and services to buy, like online shop, this 93% of the population which is like this. So now Indonesia need to anticipating the cyber attack because the people of Indonesia very familiar use the mobile phone, and then the increase of the digitalization has increased the number of cyber attack and cyber crime. Indonesian cybersecurity laws and regulation create fragmented responsibility. This is one of the problems in Indonesia across different ministries, and they remain ineffective in preventing cyber threats and cyber crime. So that is why the comprehensive regulation on cybersecurity is urgently needed by the Indonesia. The other one, Indonesia should be developed infrastructure of cybersecurity. This is to minimizing the issue of the cybercrime and cyber attacks.
Dr. Ombang, sorry.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry. So you can share during the second session on issues and challenges.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we want to hear and listen from our friends in Pakistan. Dr. Lubna Zahir, please. Dr. Lubna.
Hello.
Associate Professor
Can
Dr.
you
Lubna.
can you listen me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm so sorry, I was facing some technical issue. First of all, I would like to thank Juanda University, University of Ottawa, Dr. Rita, and the team to giving me an honor to interact with so many scholars. Thank you very much. And my apologies for being late. Since the first session is about the nature, definition, and the history of cyber crime, so I think
You can also deal and discuss on the laws as well as the Misuse. Now is being adopted in Pakistan to curb and to deal with the problem cyber crimes.
okay.
I merge this
Right.
session to session.
I think everyone knows, every scholar present here knows that what is cyber crime. Can you start my second slide, please? Yes. I think there is no need to tell the definition of the cyber crime because all of us are very much aware about any illegal or prohibited and bad activity commissioned via any computer or digital devices and network, etc., used in the cyber realm in order to do some criminal trespassing and intervention into unauthorized remote systems around the world. So these kind of cyber crimes are happened in all over the world and also in the Pakistan. Next slide, please. When we specifically talk about cybercrime in Pakistan, so those are same as are happening in the other parts of the world. The computer, we use the computer as a target, attacking the computers as a weapon to commit frauds or illegal gambling, the computer as an accessory to steal illegal or stolen information, etc. Next, please. In Pakistan, hacking is very common. Identity theft, cyberbullying, cyber stalking, financial fraud, digital privacy, computer viruses and worms, malicious software, intellectual property rights violation, etc., money laundering, electronic terrorism, vandalization, extortion, etc. These all are very common in Pakistan. Next, please. I think all of us know about hacking. I think I don't need to explain that hacking means to try to get into computer systems in order to steal, corrupt, or illegitimately view data. And in Pakistan also hacking is very common. I would like to, I think I'm unable to actually operate from here. Otherwise, I would like to skip many things. Hacking, next slides, please. Can you bring it in slide number 19? Thank you. I'm so sorry, actually. I'm so sorry. Cyber crimes in Pakistan. Can you bring that slide there? I'm so sorry, actually. Yes. Actually, I'm having some technical issue. I'm so sorry. Insofar as cyber crimes in Pakistan is concerned, cyber crimes are very high and are on rise in Pakistan. For instance, I was examining a very important report of Federal Investigative Agency of Pakistan, which is the federal agency and state agency of Pakistan about tackling such things. It was found that cybercrime in Pakistan has increased by 83% in the past 3 years, with financial frauds at social platforms at the top. And the second, on the second number is the harassment which is very common when we talk about cyber crimes and their types. An accumulative ratio of various types of cyber crimes during the last 3 years reflects that financial frauds, harassments, fake profiles, defamation, and hacking are the fastest growing cyber crimes in Pakistan. An analysis of the trend of the medium usage in total complaints received during last 3 years show that Facebook, WhatsApp, and emails are the most frequently used mediums in cyber crimes in the country. And one of the professors was talking about the usage and the number of mobiles in the Indonesia and Malaysia. I think a little bit rather very most is the case, same case in the Pakistan, that the number of mobiles are high compared to the number of population. And this thing is quoted with very great pride that Pakistani people are using technology, and Pakistani peoples are using mobiles very frequently and very commonly. And it is believed that the usage of technology and the big number of mobiles are one of the major reasons of cyber crimes in Pakistan. Next slide, please. The FIA, Federal Investigative Agency, conducted some research and issued some data, and according to that data, the cybercrime complaints have accelerated enormously, up to 83% from 2018 to 2020. In 2018, the cybercrime wing dealt with the total of 16,122 complaints, while in 2020 the number was over 94,000. And out of the total complaints, 60% were reported in the past year, 30% in 2019, and 10% in 2018. Over 4,400 complaints related to financial frauds were registered and dealt with in the past 3 years. It means that in last 3 years, the number and ratio of cyber crimes has increased too much, and it has increased 83% from 2018 to 2020. Next slide, please. And as I indicated in the start, that after financial frauds, harassment complaints are very common in Pakistan. And one of the major reasons which we quote about these harassment cases is the usage of mobile and too much access to internet, and particularly the use of mobile and use of internet by the youth causes harassment very much. 22,255 harassment complaints, 1,500 hacking complaints, 10,000 defamation, and 16,101 complaints of fake profiles were registered from 2018 to 2020. The additional categories or types of cyber crime includes blackmailing, threats, stalking, blasphemous contents, spamming, pornography, child pornography, which is very common in Pakistan, spoofing, identity threat, etc. Next, please. Likewise, Facebook usage is very much common in Pakistan, and for the very reason probably Facebook remains at the top with a total of 42,357 complaints of cybercrime reported during 2018 to 2020. Likewise, after that, WhatsApp came in second with approximately 18,000 complaints, followed by emails and telephone calls with 1,400 and 8,000 complaints respectively. And other mediums which are used to do cyber crimes or other illegal activities or interventions or trespassing are Instagrams, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, and other social media sites and social media platforms. The data which was issued after the proper research shows that cyber crimes have raised in Pakistan, but one of the point of views which is found in Pakistan is that probably it is due to the awareness. Before 3 years back, there was less awareness about registering the complaints and about the cybercrime laws. Uh, Therefore, we were unable to get the exact data of the cybercrimes, but now it is said that statistics might give a wrong impression, and in reality, the crime might not be increasing at all, or vice versa. And therefore, it is believed that number of complaints might have increased due to better awareness amongst the general public. Next slide, please. Uh, and one of the common thing which is on rise in Pakistan is the fake news. Pakistan is a democratic society, and people have awareness about media and their rights, etc. But the problem is that people have become very much political in last few years, and there is too much political polarization in last a few years in Pakistan, and therefore political opposition is quite common, and political parties have their social media wings, and those social media wings, honestly speaking, have promoted the culture of producing and generating fake news intentionally, and spread those fake news. So when we talk about cyber crimes and the complaints about these crimes, fake news culture is quite common, and fake news are generated, and the cases are registered, and the inquiries are conducted. But honestly speaking, we are unable to control this fake news culture in Pakistan. Insofar as laws to curb and control these cyber crimes are conduct, in past we didn't have any law regarding cyber crimes. There were certain points in different laws which cater the cyber crimes and punishments and the crimes which happened in the cyber world, but there was no specific law in Pakistan. In 2016, it was first time in the history, 70 years history of Pakistan, that a bill was presented in the National Assembly and the Senate, and then it was passed and became the law. That law is called the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act 2016, and it happened first time that the cyber crimes were considered and declared a proper crime, and the punishments were suggested. So after the implementation of Prevention of Electronic Crime Act 2016, the situation has changed a bit, but not that much changed, because we are unable to implement that law with proper force. But even then, there are certain things which we can say that improvement have been seen and noticed in those things. One of the important thing is that when the Prevention of Electronic Crime Act 2016 was introduced, it was very much it was very much debated and discussed, and it was considered a very controversial act, because it was thought by the opposition and political parties, opponent political parties, that the act was the subject of much bias, and it will be used for curbing the political opponents and the opponents in the media, and it will be it was thought that it will be used to silence the dissents and the different and opponent voices. And there are certain cases when such things were seen and noticed, that the sitting government used the Prevention of Electronic Crime Act 2016 against their political opponents. And even nowadays, when we talk about the cybercrime laws, we talk about their controversial dimensions, and it is believed that the sitting government uses this act to curb its political opponents and the voices which are which arises against their policies and against their acts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lubna. So in Malaysia, these cyber crimes is a criminal act. So there are certain elements in criminal law that the prosecution must prove before the accused person can be convicted and subject to the punishment, can be meted punishment as stipulated by the statute. So now the issue of mens rea, the mens rea, the blameworthy mind, the guilty mind. How could cyber crime perpetrators, the one who committed cyber crimes act or conduct, can be proven his or her intention, the guilty intention, the guilty mind, as well as maybe we can prove accuracy about the intention, or then on the issue of evidence. So we do not know what for sure, or maybe in some circumstances or situation we cannot ascertain.
All right. Thank you very much for the question, Professor Dr. Rana Hilal. Okay, can you hear my voice? Can?
Clear, Prof.
Okay. Zormiga, can you share us on the issue and challenges in regard to the enforcement to curb cyber crimes in Malaysia?
All right.
Welcome.
Okay. Maybe as the introduction for the remark with regard to the available law in Malaysia, I would like to note this one first. The legal measures are very crucial for the preventions and also for combating the cyber crimes, not only in Malaysia but also in other nations. But in at the Malaysian level, we have the cyber crimes laws, which most concern criminalization. Laws are applicable to the monitoring, detection, prevention, mitigation, and management of the incidences with regard to these cyber crimes. And the legal measures contain an extensive list of offences with certain criteria and also the requirements for these actors and mens rea that you have highlighted. But we can categorize these cyber crimes into two major types. The first one calls cybercrime acts, which are often criminalized using cyber-specific offenses. And we have also the computer-related act. For example, we have the inventions of the privacy, fraud or forgery, which are often criminalized using general offenses. In Malaysia, we do not have a standalone cybersecurity law, but we have the number of sporadic laws in the area to counter the cyber crimes. These include particularly these statutes which are enacted to criminalize the actions with regard to the cyber space. For example, we have the Copyright Act 1987, we have the Computer Crimes Act 1997, and Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, Personal Data Protection Act 2010, and the last but not the least is the Penal Code itself, so which is the main statute with regard to the crimes in Malaysia. And then coming to the other specific provisions with regard to the cyber crimes. We have the certain categories of the offenses that can be classified as the cyber crimes, having certain criteria of the actors and mens rea. Particularly, the first one is the crimes related to misuse of computers. So this is based mainly on this Computer Crimes Act 1997. There are certain offenses listed here, having considered the actors within the context of the cyber crimes. For example, we have the unauthorized access to computer materials, or also known as hacking. And we have also the unauthorized access with intent to commit or facilitate commissions of further offense, or also known as cracking. And the other one, this is based on Section 5 of this particular statute, unauthorized modifications of the contents of the computer. So we have heard about these worms, Trojans, and so on. So it can be potentially falling under this Section 5. So if we regard to this Computer Crimes Act 1997 in Malaysia, the punishment prescribed for this category of offences, depending on the type of the offence committed by the perpetrator. So it ranges from a fine that can be inclusive of the 50,000 ringgit Malaysia to 150,000 Malaysia, and also to be considered as the alternative punishment with the imprisonment up to 10 years or both. So these are the renowned punishment prescribed under this particular statute. And we have also the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998. So based on this particular legislation, so we can discover the crimes related to communication and multimedia industries. So we have certain provisions that are enacted for the purpose of governing the communications and multimedia in Malaysia, but at the same time, they have provided certain clear provisions relating to the offences that can be considered as the foundations or the fundamental aspect for these particular cyber crimes. For example, we have the section 211. So it provides for the content including indecent, obscene, false, menacing, or offenses in character. And we have also the other provisions that cover the improper use of network facilities or network service. And the other one is related to the possessions or use of hardware, software, or other tools used to commit the cybercrime. Not only the particular act committed for the purpose of having this fear or the intention for the cyber intention that can be considered as the cybercrime, but we have also considered the offense relating to the possessions and also the usage of this hardware or software or the other instrument for the purpose of this crime commission. And the other one is related to distribution or advertisement of any communications equipment or device for interruptions of the communication. And we have also the other provisions including section 231, 232, 234, and 235. So these sections provide the offences relating to the other activities that adversely affect or threaten the security, confidentiality, integrity, or availability of any item, this IT system, infrastructure, communications network, device, or data. And such offences listed under this statute carry the jail term up to 5 years, with fine up to 500,000 ringgit Malaysia, or with both upon the conviction. Okay, I proceed to the other type of statute. And this is also the main statute that we can refer in order to know the specific or the other relevant action with regard to the cybercrime, which is the penal code. Under this penal code, of course, we can discover certain categories of the penal offences, including the online spreading of terrorist propaganda. So we have the specific provision relating to this one under section 130J of our Malaysia Penal Code. And we have also the other classifications of the offences under this Malaysia Penal Code, including identity theft or identity fraud, which is known as phishing. And the other one is the online criminal intimidation. So this offense involves the threat to the person's body, reputations, or property. And the last but not the least, the other general provisions that can be referred in order to charge the perpetrator with regard to the online harassment. So any words or gesture intended to insult or the modesty of any person within the context of the victim. So it can be charged under section 509. Based on this Malaysian Penal Code, we have the specific punishment depending on the type of the offence committed, but it can be inclusive of the fine or imprisonments of various terms up to the life imprisonment or both. Other type of the punishment which is distinctively specified under Penal Code is the forfeiture of any property for the offences in relation to the terrorism. And we have also the Copyright Act 1987. Under these provisions, we can classify certain electronic theft as an offense in Malaysia. For example, we have Section 36A. This is related to the circumventions of technological protection measure. And there is also the offense regarding the removal or alterations of any electronic rights management information in Malaysia. This is based on the absence of the authority. And we have also the other range of offenses of copyright infringement. So this is fundamentally based on Section 41 of our Copyright Act 1987. The punishment prescribed here depends on the type of the offense committed, ranges from a fines of up to 500,000 ringgit Malaysia, which is very high, or imprisonment of up to 20 years, very long, or both, or other type of the penalty. And we come to the other category of the statute enacted principally in Malaysia in order to curb cyber crimes. We have also the Personal Data Protection Act 2010. So under this kind of statute, we have the main provision relating to the offense of failure to protect the personal data from any loss, unauthorized or accidental access, or disclosures, alteration, or destruction. So this is Section 9 of our Personal Data Protection Act 2010. And in order to discuss with relevant to this enacted or promulgated statute, I need to explain some kinds of the available enforcement agencies in Malaysia. We have the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission. So this is called as MCMC, and we have also the Personal Data Protection Department, and this is very familiar, Royal Malaysian Police, and we have also the governing agencies with regard to the standards prescribed for the personal data protection and others within the context of the banks and financial institution. This is Central Bank of Malaysia, or called as Bank Negara. And we have also the Securities Commission Malaysia. So having considered all this kind of the availability of the statutes promulgated in Malaysia, I tend to believe that this kind of the statutes are very important and at the same time very relevant for the context of the control of the cyber crimes. But at the same time, we shall consider that there is no any specific comprehensive law in Malaysia for governing or curbing these cyber crimes. But at the same time, we have to ensure the efficacy of this statute because the enforcement of this law should be considered as the imperatives in combating the acute problem with regard to the cyber crimes in Malaysia. And then, coming to the important issues and challenges, I would like to highlight three major issues or challenges that can be considered. So the first one, challenges in drafting national criminal laws. So initially, I would like to say that the proper legislation is the foundation for the investigation and prosecution of the cyber crimes. However, lawmakers must continuously respond to the internet development and monitor the effectiveness of these existing provisions, especially given the speed of developments in network technology. But we have to consider that the main challenge for the national criminal legal system, including Malaysia, is the delay between the recognitions of these potential abuses of the technological advancement and the necessary amendments to the national criminal law. This is also happening or occurring in Malaysian context. Many countries, so including Malaysia, are working hard to catch up with the legislative adjustment. But at the same time, we have to note that the issues remain. So including complicated standardizing regulations across various levels of legislation. As you can see from the previous slide pertaining to the available statute in Malaysia, we have certain categories of the statute, but this kind of the statute must be synchronized in order to have the uniformity of the procedures and others, and also the synchronization with regard to the accessories and also the mens rea. At the same time, unfortunately, there is no any specific law. So this is evidently from this kind of the previous discussion, and every statute has a limited scope, so still requiring other supplementary laws. For example, we have the Computer Crime Act 1997, but at the same time, some kinds of the provisions stated there must be discussed and also connected with the provisions in the penal code, so that it will be considered as the completion to the charges in the court. The second major challenge, or that can be regarded as significant issue happening in Malaysia, is that the usage of the ICTs in various ways in crime prevention and execution. So this challenge needs new investigative instrument and precautions over the privacy mentioned. Notably, the rapid growth of the internet and sophistications of the cyber crimes continue to outpace the ability of the legal system to respond. So this kind of the attribution problem makes the policing and accountability particularly difficult. So we have seen so many cases involving the cyber crime. So we have known that the offenders use ICTs in various ways in the preparations and also the executions of the offenses. For example, we have now the term of the cloud computing and encryption. Sometimes the offenders and also the criminal will be utilizing this kind of the technologies in order to enhance their crime, including human trafficking, drug trafficking, and others. Using this kind of encryption, so the other authorities cannot detect, because this kind of the data or the website can be accessed only the person having the password or having given this kind of the inscription or password. And this will be complicating the investigations of the cybercrime, and at the same time, clearly it will be having the challenge with regard to the effective enforcement of the cybercrimes related laws in Malaysia. And at the same time, we have to note that law enforcement agencies need to have the adequate instruments to investigate potential criminal acts. So some instruments such as the data retention could interfere with the rights of the innocent internet users. So if the severity of the criminal offense is out of the proportion with the intensity of the interference, the use of this investigative instrument could be considered as unjustified or unlawful. So as a result, some instruments that could improve the investigation in Malaysia have not yet introduced in, so this is also similarly happening in other countries. And the last but not the least, the major issue that I would like to share with you, this is also based on my personal observation and also my analysis. This is relating to the limited international coordination. So there is a lack of international coordination on the cyber issues. As a result, there is no centralized international cyber threat information sharing or common computer incident response teams. So this is to be regarded very important and significant with regard to the international level of this cooperation or collaboration. Many data transfer processes affect more than one country. So this is an important fact to be noted. Further, many internet services are based on services from abroad. For example, we have the host providers may offer the web space for rent in one country based on hardware in another country. So if offenders and targets are located in different countries, cybercrime investigation need the cooperations of the law enforcement agencies in all the countries affected. For instance, there is the web service provider in the United Kingdom, so that the service to be rented or to be used by the service provider, another sub-service provider in Malaysia. So we need the cooperation within the context of the UK and also the Malaysia. So this is also the challenge, because at the same time we have to note that the national sovereignty does not permit the investigation within the territory of different countries without the permissions of the local authorities. So it is difficult to base the cooperations in cybercrime on the principles of traditional mutual legal assistance. If we are relying on the traditional or conventional type of this collaboration, so it's very difficult, not easy to be implemented. The formal requirements, including the procedures and the time needed to collaborate with the foreign law enforcement agencies, often hinder the investigations. So at the same time, as the addition, the principle of dual criminality also poses difficulties. So this is also a big challenge, because if the offense is not criminalized in one particular countries involved in the investigation, so it will be considered as the dual criminality. So it's very difficult to be charged and also to be proceeded within the context of the criminal procedures. Okay, I think that is my coverage for the second round. I push the button back to Prof. Dr. Nora Hilal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Yusron Miza. Yeah, these internet crimes or cyber crimes, it is not easy. If within the local jurisdiction, within Malaysia, the police or the enforcement agency can detect and confiscate whatever materials and item relating to the crime committed. But if the cyber crime is committed outside Malaysia, so that is the big problem. How could the Malaysian authorities get the cooperation and help, assistance from the foreign jurisdiction authorities? Sometimes the foreign jurisdiction does not give cooperation and provide all the relevant information and evidences to the Malaysian authority. Then the Malaysian court and prosecution cannot proceed with the case, as the evidence and the information are not sufficient to charge the perpetrators, accused person involved in the cyber crimes. So we would like to hear and listen the experiences in Indonesia regarding the challenges and issues faced by the Indonesian government and authorities in dealing with the problem of cyber crimes. Welcome, Dr. Bambang.
Yeah. Before I answer your question, that's better I try to add some of the information about the issue of the cybercrime. Yeah, this is information from the National Cyber and Crypto Agencies. Yeah, this institution reported 219. There is 260 million cases cyber attacks. Yeah, and then if you comparing with the last year, at least there is amount 20% more than 2019. Yeah, so I mean the number of the attackings is very high. Yeah? And then you know the heads of the National Crime, Cyber and Crypto Agencies in Indonesia mentions during 2029 there were at least 888,000 cyber attack recorded. So I think this is the numbers is very amazing. This is one of the information. And then if you look the kaleidoscopes of the cybersecurity in Indonesia 2020, since January until the December, so many informations relating about the cybersecurity. If you look the other informations about that, I want to share. This is the information relating about the incident of the personal data leakage in Indonesia. This is a very big. I'll show you the personal data of the electronic health alert. Yeah, this is just September 2021. Yeah. There are at least 1.3 million personal data of the health alert card. Yeah, you can find that data from the web dark market. Yeah, the first information about this discovered by VPN Mentor Research. This is one of the email address you can build transaction to find the data. The other ones, data from the shop online. Yeah, this is the data from the Tokopedia, one of the unicorn of Indonesia. In May 2020. At least there is what we call 90 million information of the data of the customer you can find from the black market. Yeah, yeah. I think this is one of the big problem. How to secure the personal data leakage, the personal data from the leakage. This is one of the problems. You mentioned about the issue of the forensics relating about the national interest. This is the information about the data from the one of the bank in Indonesia, state owners banks, BRI. Yeah. They have the customer data from the BRI in Singapore. Yeah. At least there's 2 million BRI life customer sold price $7,000 Singapore. Yeah, this is you can find from the Twitter account @Hatchrock. Yeah, this document you can find a screenshot of the photo, electronic ID, number, account, taxpayer number, birth certificate, and medical records of the BRI live customer. So I think this is one of the big problem relating about it. There is at least the 6 big cases relating about the data leakage, that personal data leakage in Indonesia. There is the other one, one of the unicorn in Indonesia, Lazada. Yeah, there is at least you can find 2.6 million customers. Yeah, from the 17 companies who join with that online shop. Yeah, Lazada. This is one of the big problem. Yeah, how to secure the data leakage. This is one of the informations. Now I want to give you other informations relating about the pornography and cybercrime. Yeah? I think in Indonesia we have the big problem about that. Yeah? Okay, we change to the other issue. If you look what we call the if you look the Indonesians. Sorry, I should take my data. Okay, if you look in the Indonesian law, especially relating about the electronic information and transaction law, at least in the article or section 29 under 37, this is range about the cyber crimes issue, but this is still limited. What we call limited access to managing about that. Yeah. The article 27 mentions any persons who knowingly and without authority distribute and transmit or cause the accessible electronic information or electronic information contents other property. this is against the law. Yeah. So at least there is 7 articles relating about the electronic information and transactions, clearly maintenance issue of the cyber crimes. But this is a very limited access, very limited article about that. But now we need the other article, yeah, who can help this information, this article, this act. Yeah. So that is why this Information Transaction Electronic Act should be support. We still related about the other what we call the criminal procedure law in Indonesia. And then now in Indonesia, we have the other act, the other law relating about the cyber. Yeah, this is relating about that. For the example, this is relating about the consumer protection law. And then the other issues about the copyright law, anti-pornography law. But all of this law not really, concerns to relating connected issue of the cyber. This is the conventional crime. So that is why one of the information, one of the problem in Indonesia, how to soonly to make ICT security policy and regulations, yeah, relating directly about the cyber law. So if you comparing with the Malaysia already have the Computer Crime Act, Digital Signature Act, Telemedicine Act, Multimedia Act, Payment System Act, and Personal Data Act relating directly about the cyber crime. But in Indonesia, we do not have the act like that. So that is why I think one of the challenges, if you want to jump in the issue of the challenge, we need integrated act who will concentrate issue to handle the cyber with the many of the law. This is one of the issues, yeah. And then the other one, I think. Sorry, I speak. Okay. This is back again to the issue of the what kinds the issue of the challenge, yeah. So if you look the number of attacking, no Indonesia have the emergency problem. What kind of the problem? How to anticipating the cyber attacking? Because the number of the cyber attacking to become increased. So that is why not only how to settle many acts relating about the cyber crime I already mentioned, but how to integrate it the law enforcement institution who concerns about the issue of the cyber. Yeah, because now there is different enforcement, law enforcement handle the issue of the cyber crime. Then if you know, one of the problem, if you handle the issue of the cyber crime with some different institution, and then the problem of coordination be located at that issues. This is one of the, I think, issue if you want to talk about the cyber issue. And then the other one, in Indonesia, we do not have one institution who has responsibility about that issue. Yes, we already have what we call cyber security institutions, but cyber security institution not only handle the issue cyber attack related about the state, not related directly about the law enforcement process. They can support. So that is why the problem of the coordination still located on that issues. This is one of the informations about that, yeah. And then that is why I already mentioned Indonesia need the cyber security and resilience bill especially for the Personal Data Protection Bill. In the Parliament of Indonesia, at least already the 3 years, discuss about the Personal Data Protection Bill. And then we already have problem incident about the data protection, security personal data protection. So, but until now, we do not have finished about the discussion in the Parliament relating about the Personal Data Protection Bill. This is one of the information we should get, and then how the Indonesian government should be soonly to handle this problem. The other one, I think, relating about the criminal, I agree with the Dr. Yusa, we need to revising the criminal code procedure, and this criminal code procedure should be concentrated to managing issue of the criminal law relating about the cyber law. Because if you not have a specific act about that, and then you have problem to handle the issue of the cyber crime. The other issue about the ICT, Integrated ICT Act, this is one of the problem in Indonesia. We need how to integrate it, consumer, copyright law, anti-pornography to become general, beside the specific, to arrange about the article of the criminality. This is one of the informations should be handled by the Indonesian government. I think the other what we call problem, we do not have what we call like the one center organization, how coordinated, not only in the national level but the international level. Let's see if you're comparing with the UNCIC, United Nations Conventions Against Corruption. Each of the country already have what we call special agents, special institution who concentrate with the issue of the anti-corruption. So that is why I think if there is each of the country already have each institution who concentrate issue of the cyber crime, cyber attack and cyber warfare, and it's more easy to create what we call networking, partnership. So that is why this is one of the important issues. Not only that, if we have United Conventions Against Corruption, why not we have United Conventions relating about the cyber issues? This is one of the important challenge, for our country. And then especially for Indonesia, there is two other issues I think related. If you are talking about the terrorisms, we know one of the issue terrorisms names state terrorisms. If you're talking about the issue of the anti-corruptions, we know we have one terminology relating about that, state capture corruptions. What about with the cyber? There is possibility the state use their power, the authority, their knowledge about the issue of the cyber, and then to interference the security of the citizens. I think this is one of the important issues because, in Indonesia, some of the activists have the problem because their what we call the phone numbers try the red type from the. This is not directly of the authority, but we assume if the authority not really to protect the, that means the authority will become the part of that attacking. This is the other issue. So I think if we want to discuss about the issue of the cyber, not only cyber who done by the perpetrator as the criminality, to thief, to want to make the pornography, but state have the possibility to use their knowledge to try to interference the data of the citizens. this is of the other issue. So I think this is interesting to discuss our discussion. Thank you very much, Dr. Hilal.
Thank you, Dr. Bambang, for elaborative explanation on the challenges, issues faced by the Indonesian authority in enforcing the law on cyber crimes. So I think this is a complicated and technical issue as well, not just the substantive law, but also on the issue of evidence, issue of proof.
Yeah.
Issue of proof, evidence. What more if the issues and problem involving several or numerous countries in the world?
Yeah.
So
In
how
Indonesia
are we
context,
going to
yeah,
make
Pak Hilal.
relationship and make sure that the evidences can fill up the puzzle? Make sure.
Yeah, you're right. If we're talking about the evidence, yeah, what we call in Indonesian context, yeah, the electronic evidence, knowing by the Indonesian law enforcers just 2008, when the Act of the Electronic Information and Transaction promulgates by released by the Parliament. So we start about the evidence electronic from that moment. So that is why there's three issues in that area. Firstly, how to define what kind precisely the meanings of the electronic evidence. Yeah, because if you do not have definitions, and then you have the problem how to prove that issue on the court. We unfortunately we already arranged about that. Even not really complete argument or definitions of the electronic data evidence, but at that moment, in every single cases relating about the cybercrime, we use the sections relating about the electronic evidence came from the Electronic Information and Transactions Act. This is the first. And then the second one, you know, the modus operandi of the crime develop and increase. So many strategy of the perpetrators of the crimes, yeah, to try to use many single what we call technology. Yeah. So that is why we need what we call the information. We should have knowledge, yeah, from the international fora who have many experts about that, yeah, and then join together and to improve our knowledge about the new modus operandi. Use the tools, yeah, because I'm afraid the definitions of the cyber, the electronic crime definition of the evidence, not really connected with the issue of the new modus operandi. This is the second issue. Yeah. And then the third issue, if the perpetrators come from the outside, you already mentioned, and then these guys, not only the persons, but the other state institutions, and then you have like that. Because in the warfare crime, cyber warfare, the involving of the perpetrators came from the state institutions. The war of the Iraqi, I learned, I read from the book, yeah. You know what we call the system of the computer of the Iraq attacked by the US. So the future war, relating directly with the cybercrime, with the cyber warfare, and then cyber attack will become one of the instruments, yeah, for the next war in the world, besides the biology issues war. That's it, Professor Hira.
Great. Okay, thank you. In 3 minutes, could you make a conclusion, and what is your hope and suggestion, Dr. Bambang? 3 minutes.
Yes. Okay, firstly, Indonesia until now have not a cyber security policy. So we need a policy about the cyber security. And if this policy can open access to the international atmosphere, we can connect it, we can partnership and network to the international atmosphere is one of the important. And then the second one, Indonesia need what we call the cyber security and cyber resiliency bill. Yeah. This is already initiated by Parliament 3 years ago, but unfinished till yet. So hopefully this bill already will be finished by the Parliament. And then if we can learn from the Malaysia, from the Singapore, there is some of the what we call the other bill like the Multimedia Payment System Act, Personal Data Act, and then maybe Indonesia will become at least one from the 5 countries who have integrated cyber act. Yeah. The other one, cyber crimes is crime borders national boundaries, because cross national borders and could involve many countries. Therefore, cyber crimes, including extraordinary crime, is important that multilateral cooperation agreement in order to overcome this problem should be done. The last one, the threats of the cyber criminality requires more effort to improve the security and of the product we use, to strengthening our defense against the criminal and to promote cooperation among all stakeholders within across national border. And then the other one, how to improve our knowledge, because the modus operandi of cybercrime develop and increase. And then that is why hand in hand with the other experts, hand in hand with the other law enforcement from the other country will become of the important elements for our discussion the future. That's it. Thank you very much, Dr. Hilang.
Thank you, Dr. Bambang, for your conclusion. So I see more on the needs to have specific legislation and statute governing the problem of cyber crimes, as well as the evidence cooperation with other countries as well, to curb and to prevent the occurrences of cyber crime in the region, in our region here. So, Dr. Yusramiza, your conclusion, please. What is your hope and suggestion?
All right. Maybe can I share my last slide? Okay. Okay, Prof. Dr. Nurahilai, thank you very much. I totally agree with Dr. Bambang. His opinions are very brilliant with regard to the next step to be undertaken by many countries, particularly Malaysia, Indonesia, and also others. So Dr. Bambang's explanation with regard to the historical background of this kind of the practices has refreshed my memory relating to the historical sphere of these cyber practices. You know, the practice of the cyber aspect has been very known and also common within the army. So it has now become the dominant actions of the layman. So we should consider this is very important to be undertaking some kinds of the precautions. At the same time, we have to note here, developing a comprehensive and updated legal framework based on the appropriate principles including deterrence and restorative justice principles, and wide-ranging viable methods towards addressing cyber crimes is really needed. So it is consistent to the strategy to increase the capacity of the enforcement agencies, and at the same time we have to upgrade the security agencies. So these kind of methods are very fundamental, at the same time are very important to be updated from time to time. So they are very important, not only for the purpose of enhancing the status and the capabilities of our enforcement agencies, but at the same time, it is very crucial to upgrade the protections to the cyber crimes victim. Sometimes we are so concentrating on the particular aspect of the perpetrators, of the criminals, but we have tended to neglect the aspect of the crime victimization. So within the context of the cyber crimes, so we have also to be considering some kinds of the measures for the victims of the cyber crime. For example, we have to adopt a particular measures or platform for having the remedies or compensation for the victims. At the same time, all these kinds of efforts are very crucial to intensify the cybercrime preventions. The various approaches which must be undertaken include the government or the industry's adoptions of baseline standard for suppliers of digital services. So this is mainly based on the principle of self-regulation. So sometimes we cannot just rely on the government's effort to promulgate certain legislations in order to curb the cybercrime, but we have to initiate some kinds of the legal paradigm within the context of the organizational sphere. So at the same time, we can implement this kind of the self-regulation principle and practices. And we have also to be considering the extensions of the applications or equipment procurement. For example, we have to be adopting the email tracking system and investigative toolkits. And at the same time, we need to upgrade our forensic capabilities and developments of the concrete technological guardianship, the parents' enhancements of the capability and also the skill to monitor the kids and their empowerment so that it can be cope with the paradigms of the statute and also the other relevant regulations or guidelines. At the same time, we need to establish a coordinating body as an integrating of these cyber crime matters, and they will be also monitoring the enforcement measures and also the other aspect with regard to the cyber crimes matters. And the other step that can be considered very important for enhancing the capabilities of the legal paradigm and framework is the enlargement of the international cooperation and the harmonizations of the laws among countries. So for example, in Malaysian law, so we have to harmonize or to make it compatible with the other countries, including Indonesia and also the international conventions with regard to the cyber crimes. And it's very important to note here is it's never too late to get started on the new road of reform, as Nancy Tyer's motivational quote is never too late in fiction or in life to revise. So for me, my last words is that cyber crimes control is also preconditioned by the society's cognition and also the conscious support. Like we work together in combating cyber crimes. That's it from me. Thank you very much, everyone, especially the moderator and also other colleagues in this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yusramiza. Now I open for question from the audience. Do you have any question or some issues that need clarification and answers from our speakers, please? Yeah, Mr. Satra Bintang. You raise your hand as if you want to ask a question. You pose a question.
Okay, thank you. My question is,
Please introduce yourself first. From
okay,
where? Which university? Thank you.
my name is Satria Bintang. I'm from Juanda University. My question is, at this time, Indonesia or maybe Malaysia will also face the 5.0 era, associative 5.0 era with challenges in the current digital era. How do we face that era with the problem of cybercrime itself? Thank you.
Okay. This is question for me, right? Okay. As a response, that is a very good question with regard to the advancement of the cyber aspect in Malaysia. So we need to initiate some kinds of the effective measures and also strategies, not only to be engaging with the legal framework, but at the same time, we need to strengthen the agencies having involved in this enforcement of the laws. But at the same time, this kind of commission, for example, we have the MCMC, so they need to upgrade their capabilities to monitor. At the same time, they will be given the teeth or this kind of the enforcement skill and the other powers in order to implement the laws. So we need to ensure that the enforcement in many countries, not only in Malaysia, but also in other countries, including Indonesia, even we are going to undertake certain efforts to strengthen our laws, but this is not sufficient. So we need to enhance our capabilities and also efforts to implement that particular law. At the same time, we need to upgrade the status of the law and also the other investigative tool. The forensic itself. For example, nowadays the criminals tend to use the many sophisticated instruments, including the parabola and the other tools, inscriptions. This is very famous within the context of human trafficking and also cyberbullying and also the pornography. They are using this kind of the secretive tool. So despite this advancement, the government in any countries, including Indonesia, should be alert. So they have to update the law from time to time. Not only that particular law, but we have to be concerned of the policies and also the other relevant procedures and effort. Not only within the context of the law, but we have to ensure the capability and also the effectiveness of the other measures, including the investigation on the part of the enforcement agencies. So this is very fundamental and very essential within the context of the effectiveness of the law itself. I think that's it from me. Thank you very much for the question.
Dr. Bambang, could you add? Cannot hear your voice.
Yeah, okay. I want to concentrate the issue of the from this question relating about the civil society. Yeah. Firstly, we should what we call increase the public awareness, relating about the impact of the cyberspace. Yeah. This is one of the important, because if you do not have what we call knowledge about the issue of the cyberspace, relating the crime within the cyberspace, and then you have the problem. So public awareness, one of the important issues. And then the second one, we should have what we call the national, like the NGOs who concerns about the issue of the cyber. Yeah. because we need, to spread the public awareness, not only come from the side of the government, but side of the people of the society. This is one of the important. So the spreads the issue of the public awareness relating about the cyberspace and especially relating about the cyber crime within the cyberspace. Yeah, this is the one to join with the NGOs. The third one, I think one of the important rule from the university, to try to call emergency for the expert to join together, to work together, to make what we call the pool talent of the expert, to concentrate the issue and impact of the cybercrime. One of the important issue, not only the impact, especially how to managing the policy, how to advocacy issue of the what we call the cyber crime, because the victims of the cyber crime spread in the world, and then some of our children to become the victims through the, let's say, the sample pornography or bullying through the cyber. So that is why we should put our energy, our concentrations, our knowledge together, hand in hands, to become one of the group who concentrate with the issue of the cyber. This is the answer for myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bambang. Any question? Any more question? So if no question, I want to raise a question. What about the international cyber crime? How do Indonesia or
what precisely the question, Professor Hilal?
About the issue of international cyber crimes.
Okay.
International. Let's say the perpetrators, the criminal person, operating his illegal activities, cyber crimes, illegal activities. Let's say in Antarctica, or let's say in Thailand, Bangkok, and involve Malaysia and Indonesia. The victim are Malaysian publics, Malaysian public and Indonesian public. How are we to deal with this problem? What are the challenges and what are the SOP to deal this problem? Please, thank you.
At least we should what we call taking at least the 3 steps. In my opinion, the first step, we should have what we call communications with the state governments, relating about this issue, to talking about the issue should be handled together. The issue should be handled by networking. So that's why the state's communication, the government communication should be done, especially law enforcement institutions. They should network together. And then the second one, I think, not only to make what we call networking between the states governments or the governments of the authority of the governments, but we should pulling the expert with the university from each country. This is important because the experts from the cyber issue can support the law enforcement institutions. And then the third one, I think the third step, besides that, we should learn together, to know better the patterns of the cases, the pattern of the cases, the profile of the cases. This is come from the personal. This is come from the others group of the corporations which needs what we call advantage through that crime to from our country, or this is came from the other states. So we should identify clearly who's behind this this crime. This is one of the important. And then of course, after that, the technical networking should be done. Because this is important. And then one of the issue of the technical problem, how to make what we call like the standard operating procedure, because we have each country have their own system of the law. This is my answer about your question, Professor Hill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Yusromiza, your last input regarding the issue raised just now. What is your opinion?
Okay. Thank you. Having similar paradigm or perspective, so I would like to say that there are certain important measures and steps to be implemented by the countries, including Malaysia and also Indonesia. The first one, maybe it will be inclusive of the sharing of information among the countries. So we need to enhance our opportunities and also freedom, and at the same time the chances for having the mechanism for sharing the information. So at the same time we need to consider upgrading the understanding and interpretations of this informative sharing. So maybe there will be the sharing of information, but if there is no any skill with regard to interpretations of this information or data, so there is no any effect from this sharing. So we have to be having the collaborative measures, for example, the training or the important meeting with regard to this sharing of information pertaining to the cyber crimes incidents in both countries, and also with regard to the other countries outside of our national sphere. At the same time, maybe I would like to suggest that we will be having the collaborative response team. So it can be having the quick and relevant, at the same time, the uniform practices and responses to the recent incidences of the cyber crimes. The other important step that I have highlighted is related to the harmonizations of the national laws. So it will be preventing the existence of this dual criminality. So it will be considered as very difficult inhibiting the efficacy of the law and also the enforcement if we are having the different or dissimilar paradigms of the coverage of the spheres, main sphere, or the other elements contained in our specific law. And maybe at the same time, we should consider applying and adhering the other practices, which is called as the best practices in other countries. For example, we can be following the practices in the Europe with regard to diabetes and also enforcement having considered the crimes within the cyberspace. And we should be connected with the important interagency bodies at the international level. For instance, we have the Interpol, Europol, and also Visual Global Task Force. It is called as VGT. And we are having at the international level 24-hour point of contact network. So this is very important to be familiarized and also to be engaged by the governments in every country, so that we will be having the a larger network with regard to the enforcement and also the responses pertaining to the cyber crimes or incidences. So it will be considered as very landmark tools and also precautions with regard to the control within the context of many countries. So that's it, my response. Thank you.
Seems the organizer wishes to proceed further and open one more question. Ibu Agustina, you have a question? Boleh bertanya? Boleh cakap bahasa Melayu pun boleh. Biasa.
Okay, thank you.
Semua orang
Sir.
Nusantara.
Orang Nusantara. Okay, maybe I want to try to speak in English. My question is, why I get information about the cybercrime in education? Maybe as we know, now we enter to digital transformation era in education. All the information and the system of education on online based information. But I want to know about the information. Maybe we find the case of cybercrime in education. Maybe there and if we get the issue, how to solve the problem. Thank you.
Is it clear?
I'm sorry. Firstly, my name is Agustina. I'm lecturer of Juanda University, visit lecturer, the Faculty of Social and Politics Science in Juanda University. Thank you.
Is the question clear for the speakers? Or should Ibu Agusta repeat the question?
Okay, the question is about the cybercrime issue in education, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I turn to answer.
Yes.
Okay. I think firstly we should define what kind of the cyber crime in the educations, yeah, because this could be related about the issue of the data informations of the student, data information of the budgeting. This is relating about the institution's issues. Yeah, if you have like that, and then this is relating about the how the customer data, what we call how to protect the student data from the other interests. Yeah, and then this is state's responsibility about how to protect the information data from the student or college. Yeah. This is one. But if relating about the student or college, I think in Indonesia we have problem about the issue of the bullying, pornography. This is relating about the education, because there is one research relating about the cyber crimes within the institution of the educations. This is relating about the pornography, bullying, and then violence. Yeah, violence through the technology of the computer, through the internet. This is very spread in the some of our school, our university, and if the case like this is not really, we should have what we call responsibility about this issue. I mean, student, a teacher, and then lecturer, authority of the university and the school, and then yes, of course, the government, local government, the central government should be responsibility about that. If the crimes, like I mentioned before, bullying, pornography, and then violence, this is very easy because you can connect it directly with the law enforcers in the context of Indonesians. But if the issue of the data of the student, this is relating maybe for the government, the central governments. Yeah, we need BSSN to involve that issue. That's it.
Okay, I think that is more to do with data protection.
Yeah.
To protect and to secure the security and safety of the data, so that the data will not be leaked and stolen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because in Indonesian context,
of the data.
Yeah, in Indonesian context, we do not have that act still discussed with the parliament. So that is why in Indonesian context, we should push the parliament finish the discuss and to promulgate soonly.
Yes. Particularly on the banking and financial sector.
Yes, after that, the banking. I mentioned to the presentation one case of the BRI, Bank Rakyat Indonesia. Yeah, the customer data of the Bank Rakyat Indonesia stolen, and then you can find or you can buy from the web market, black web market.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much for the elaboration and sharing of experiences and knowledge on cyber crime. I think this topic is a green topic and it is still developing and evolving. From time to time, we can see many people become victims. Many new measures have been implemented in order to curb and to prevent the occurrences of the cyber crimes. And I think the most importantly is not just security safety, but what is the compensation paid or not paid to the victims. The suffering of the victims is another issue that we can talk later. Thank you very much for the participation, attending this today session. I, Nuarul Hilal Mat Dahlan, I would like to thanks to the organizer, particularly Dr. Martin Rostami, and others, officers and officials from Juanda University, and as well as to the distinguished speakers, Dr. Bambang and Dr. Yusramiza, as well as Dr. Lubna just now. She mentioned in her chat just now she was terminated because of the internet problem. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Back to the MC. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right, thank you very much, Prof. Ila, for conducting the session attractively and interactively. Thank you very much. Also to all speakers, thank you for enlightening our set and knowledge regarding the current issue in cybercrime. And ladies and gentlemen, please give your round of virtual applause to our speakers and moderator. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, move to our next agenda is awarding certificate. So for the first certificate is awarded to Associate Professor Dr. Yusramiza MD Isa from University Utara Malaysia. Okay, pause your smile because we are taking picture of you, Dr. Yusramiza. All right, thank you very much. And for the second certificate is awarded to Dr. Bambang Wijayanto from Universitas Juanda. Okay, hold your smile, Dr. Bambang. All right, and unfortunately, Dr. Lubna has technical issues, so we go on to our moderator, who already lead the session attractively, Professor Hilal. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're awarding the certificate to you. A moment, please. All right, hold your smile. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Prof. Hilal.
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our speaker session. So to close this webinar, I would like to invite the Director of Graduate School, Associate Professor Dr. Prita Rahmawati MSI, to give the closing remarks. The time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Master. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear Chancellor of Juanda University, dear Timbalan Naib Chancellor of University Utara Malaysia, Rector of Juanda University, Speaker, Moderator, and respective audience, let me close this webinar with some closing remarks regarding the topic of this webinar. So since the computer was first discovered and developed in the 1940, the civilization of human life has entered a new era of development, namely the computer-based digital era. Unfortunately, since that era, the practice has also emerged of abuse and misuse of computer systems. As computers become more important for research and communication within academic institutions, military organizations, and financial institutions, fraudsters and fraudsters are born to emerge. Initially, fraudsters were mainly students who had an extraordinary curiosity about computers and how they could solve problems. Finally, during the 1960s, the invention of ARPANET and the Internet afterward, and as computers located in college throughout the United States were interconnected with government agencies and business. As a result, abuse of computer and computer network become more common and dangerous. In the mid-1970s, researchers began to study computer abuse because at the time, harmful activity carried out with computer were not prohibited. The development of information and communication technology, ICT, through computer and the internet is a kind leap in human civilization. Advance in ICT also support the advancement and dissemination of science and technology widely without a border. It enables data and information to be managed, stored, accessed, searched, found, transmitted, exchanged, and disseminated without a geographical boundary. However, at the same time, acts of abuse in crime using ICT media also emerge. A crime that is the same as the old crime conventionally by using ICT media. Spam, computer virus attacks, cyber attacks, and identity data theft are examples of crime in ICT media, increasing in frequency daily, like conventional crime. Crime using ICT media have effect that not only personally but also have an impact on the broader social order. By using only the service offered by the internet, users are vulnerable to criminal threat. They can become victim or unwilling perpetrator of a criminal. Cybercrime has become a reality of contemporary life. It has greater or lesser ramification for people, organizations, and a state. However, it has grown into a real epidemic in society. International Webinar Forum, Cybercrime, Nature, Challenge, and Measure is a discussion of the institutional response to cybercrime. Also, cyberbullying follow. This webinar call on international experts to conduct a comprehensive study of the cybercrime problem with a view to examination option to strengthen existing ones and to propose new national and international law or other response to cybercrime. So the key finding from this the discussion concern issue of the impact of fragmentation at international level and diversity of national cybercrime law on international cooperation, a reliance on traditional means of formal international cooperation in criminal matter, include cybercrime and electronic evidence for all crime. The role of evidence location, harmonization of national legal framework, law enforcement and criminal justice capacity, cybercrime prevention activities. The study examined the problem of cybercrime from the perspective of academia. The result are covering internet connectivity and cybercrime, the global cybercrime picture, cybercrime legislation and framework, criminalization of cybercrime, law enforcement and cybercrime investigation, electronic evidence and criminal justice, international cooperation in criminal matter involving cybercrime and cybercrime prevention. So as you know, since internet come to our life, cybercrime has occurred both in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Pakistan. Cybercrime is especially insidious because of its anonymous nature. Moreover, it's allow participant by an infinite audience. So, cyber security play an important role in the ongoing development of information technology, as well as internet service, enhancing cybersecurity, and protecting critical information infrastructure are essentially to each nation's security and economic well-being. Making the internet safer and protecting internet users and has become integral to the development of new service as well as governmental policy. So finally, emerging and established law are highlighted to provide guidelines to help government and countries of the world to reduce cybercrime through legislation and international cooperation. Harmonization as law that protects citizens of the world and avoid litigation. That's our closing word. Through this webinar, let's fight cybercrime. Let's be good people, and the real world, also in the virtual world. By saying Alhamdulillah, I will close today's webinar. Hopefully, what we are doing today will be blessed by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Thank you for our speaker and respective audience. Wallahu yaqulul haq wa huwa yahdi sabil. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Rita Rahmawati, for closing this event. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite all of you to please turn on your camera to do the photo session and show your big smile to the camera. And we have 9 slides here, and we'll start from the first slide. Okay, could you please turn on the camera and show your best smile through the camera? Okay, the first slide, 3, 2, 1. Hold your smile. All right, so move on to the second slide. 3, 2, 1. That's the great smile of you. Thank you very much. Move on to the third slide. 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay, since the 4th until 9th slide, the participant didn't turn on the camera, so the photo session is finished until slide 4. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for having us in this seminar.
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the excellent wrap of today's webinar, Cybercrimes, Nature, Challenges, and Measures. The highest appreciation to Universitas Juanda and UUM, especially the Chancellor of Universitas Juanda, Associate Professor Dr. Haji Martin Rustami, and all distinguished speakers, moderator, and committee. To all participants, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Sorry for all inconveniences during this webinar. And I wish you a good health and condition, and see you next time in the next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Aswa deh.
Turun.
Just to share the QR code attendant. Wan Aswa. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we already shared the link for certificate, so you can access it through the chat column.